Connie Cummings.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Can you handle the heat?
Oh yeah, can you?
Well, I'll throw a hot flash and just melt like a piece of sugar.
I'm so glad I'm done with that. Oh my God.
It was so hot yesterday.
Oh, horrifying. And I had a showing that they did not have AC. I just don't understand how, it's tough. I just, ugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk in and you melt.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Do you have a big day today?
I have a buyer who I'm going to have to work with a little bit. He seems to think that the seller should replace both air conditioners because they're 20 years old and they're working fine.
Okay.
So, there's that.
I had that, and so what I said, well, that's not going to happen. It's not effective, but this is what we can do. You asked for a home warranty, which we got. Yep. Why don't we go ahead and ask for a 2-year warranty? And he went, okay, that sounds fair.
Yeah, we do have a 1-year warranty, so I'm going to have to explain that one to him. And I like the option of a 2-year warranty.
You know what? It worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think today we should also talk about some crazy things that are going on in the market right now. I just got off the phone with an agent from our competitor. They do a lot of business. And I want to share that little conversation that I had. Once I tear off my June calendar and put July in here.
Atta girl. I have to do that too. It's time to transfer over everything to July.
I have so many notes on this because I'm a doodler.
You know what? I don't throw mine away.
Oh, now you tell me.
Well, so what I do is in the office here, I have a big bookcase.
Yeah.
Which is right by the sliding patio door. And I take that calendar and I just fold it in half and I put them all behind there because I'll be darned. I'll need something off of that. And I know it's stupid. And I am not a hoarder of you guys. I promise I am not. But
yeah, you are. No, you're not.
So I just to go back and refer to it.
You're smart.
I would go that far.
Oh, I would.
We got a little crew today. I think everybody has.
What the heck? Where is it? Well, it's only 9:01. Let's be honest.
That's true.
I ran here like a banshee.
Are you at the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come in every day. If I don't, then I feel weird. Then I end up coming in.
Yeah.
I get more done here.
I do too. I'm gonna
Be right back.
Alrighty. As soon as Janine gets back, we shall start. So what did everybody think of our guest speaker last week?
Awesome. Awesome, really.
Wasn't it cool to see how she takes care of her clients?
Yes, and she's so great. When my first day in the office, I had a note she had sent in the mail to me on my first day. She's really so detail oriented and just thoughtful, and it made me feel really good. So I could see how her clients feel good with her, you know?
Yeah. She has a good person behind the scenes that help her keep organized and do those things. She has learned to leverage, I believe.
Well, when you're doing that many deals, and Janine and I were talking about it after we got off our call. Janine and I will usually do a little breakdown on what happened and what was good and what we can improve on. And so we actually enjoy feedback from you guys. And I was talking to Diana because I said, is this working? Is it not? Because we don't get all the feedback. So if there's anything that you guys need, good, we don't like the bad, but any improvements that we can make, please talk to Charlie and Diana if you don't want to talk to us directly. And even some of the subject matter that we cover for you guys, and we will be more than happy to accommodate for you on what you need improvement on, what you need help on. That's actually why Janine and I are here for you. So we were talking with Sarah. What were her numbers, Janine? How many units does she do?
I know I don't have her notes, I don't think, on me, but her average sale price was what, $259?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Busting her butt. I mean, the units that she had, and I mean, she does great numbers, but she is busting her butt for not a very high price point.
Right.
So the average price point out here at the Lake Country office is $300,000. So, you know, she's below the average out here. And I don't know what you guys are at in Whitefish Bay. Do you know, Janine?
It's about 350.
350? Yeah. Yeah, so she's hustling.
She's a hustler. I think one thing that I took a lot of things away from her, but just more of a reminder of being of service. Like, don't show up as a salesperson, show up with a mindset of service. And I think that diffuses a lot of anxiety.
I think so.
Yep. So if I go in there like yes, I am going to get this listing because I am going to help them. I want to serve them. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm a great salesperson, absolutely. But even more importantly to me is I want them to feel the service from what I can offer them.
Yep.
So, so can we just talk a little bit about some things that are going on in this market right now that I have observed personally that I would love to share? So one thing is, I was talking to another broker this morning about a listing that was pending, and all of a sudden it's back on the market as a delayed listing. And I reached out to this person. I said, hey, what happened to, your sale? And I thought it was impending, and now it's coming back up as delayed. She said, yeah, it was actually supposed to close last Friday. And the buyers simply just changed their mind. And she said, we have been noticing this. It's becoming somewhat of a trend. And it's happened to someone on our team as well, where they want to compete. They love the excitement of competing and winning and getting that house. And they didn't really want it.
Oh, no.
So they went through home inspection. She said they put in $25,000 worth of repairs because of this home inspection. Everything was agreed upon. The day before closing, they said, you know what? You can keep our earnest money. You can take us to court. We don't want this house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I think it's a really good reminder for everybody to have those candid conversations with your buyers, that to keep them on track, to check in with them almost every single day once they get an accepted offer, and make sure that they really have the intention of closing. And if you don't have that control, if it's your listing, be very careful and check in with that buyer's agent, because we are seeing it. I think there is that competitiveness when you write and there's all these other offers coming up on the property, and then they feel as though they didn't get the deal or they overpaid for something. So just keep that in mind. Another situation that happened to me yesterday, which it all ended up working out fine, but it was a new listing, and it was a higher end home, and first day on the market yesterday. So I had two buyers that were interested in looking at that house. So one was all teed up to see it at 4:30 yesterday, and my second buyers were going to see it today at 1:30. So I called the listing agent at 1 o'clock yesterday, and I was just checking in to see, how's the new listing going? I know it's the first day on the market. I'm showing it at 4:30. And do you have any offers? And she said, yes, I have an offer. I said, oh goodness. Okay, well, when are you presenting to the seller? And she said, as soon as they come in. I said, oh, so you already have an offer. You've presented the offer? Yeah. I said, all right. Well, I'm glad I called you. I'm like, so glad I called. And I said, so what, should I continue with my showing? And she said, well, I'm presenting the offer at 4 o'clock. It's a 4 o'clock deadline. And I said, okay, well, let me call my buyer. My buyer couldn't get there until 4:30. I mean, that was our appointment. He had appointments all day. And he said, well, I guess, you can tell your the listing agent that we're going to have very good terms on this offer. I said, I will. So I called her back and I said, this will be cash, no appraisal. Can you wait? And she said, I really can't wait, but go ahead and show it. Oh my gosh. So long story short, right before we get there, the agent calls me and says, we're getting another offer. So now I'm presenting at 7 o'clock. I said, all right. So I then had to call my second buyers that were supposed to show it. I was supposed to show today, and have somebody else on my team show them that house, because I could potentially have 2 people that want to write an offer. So lesson is, if you think you have a hot listing, which is going to be most of the listings, at least here on the, on this side of town, if we see that buyers are stacking up appointments on a new listing, then we call the seller and we actually have the conversation way before that. You know what, if we see that we're getting slammed on showings, it's to your benefit that we're going to put in MLS that any and all offers will be presented to the seller, and we put the date and the time. So then all of these agents are able to get their buyers through, because are you really servicing that seller by cutting them off by just on the first day of the showings, right? So neither one of my buyers liked it, but I'll tell you, it was extremely stressful to try to get buyers in.
As a recap, Janine, when you have a hot listing,
Yep.
and if you guys have questions on what a hot listing is, please talk to an experienced agent. We are here to help you.
Yeah.
We will help you. Just give us a call. Somebody who works in that area. If you're on the east side, call Janine.
Yeah.
Who are your contacts at your office? You're anybody on the ALC? Do you guys all know what the ALC is, by the way? Anybody? Okay. Keller Williams, I'm getting just a sketch off track, Janine, sorry. The ALC is the Agent Leadership Council, and every Keller Williams office has one. And in order to be on the ALC, you have to be a high producer. You have to have good moral and ethical business values. And we're all here to help you, because what our job is to make our office be successful and run smoothly, and to help our new agents to be cappers, period. So when you come in the office, there's all those pretty pictures of everybody in frames. Those are all the people on your ALC. We don't have one out here yet, but you can ask Charlie who to talk to out here. You can ask Diana who to talk to, and find out, getting back on track, what that hot listing is, and put in the remarks section. All buyer MLS has told us that it should be buyer requests to review all offers at 5 o'clock Sunday.
Seller requests.
Seller requests, sorry, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that saves a lot of, and even then that can get a little stressful. I had a listing, I think it was last week, can't remember, out in Menominee Falls. I wrote seller requests, any and all offers to be presented at Thursday at 8 p.m. Well, guess what? I had 4 offers, but the last 3 offers didn't come in until 10 minutes before binding acceptance. So really tough if the first offer adhered with the exact time for a response. So I had to guess that was probably going to be the offer accepted, and I had the seller sign it, and I did not send it over to that first agent until I saw the other ones come in, and literally reading them, sending them off to the seller, writing down the top, the price, the terms, and then we had to make a quick decision. So another thing I would probably do differently, honestly, is I would have it, so it wouldn't be in the evening, because that can be a long night.
Yep.
I would probably have it, give it an extra day and put 4 p.m.
Yeah, I've been liking 5.
Yeah, because, that kind of just took over my entire evening,
Well,
and I
and keep
didn't
in
have
mind,
to.
yeah, keep in mind to put a time deadline, because if your deadline is July 10th, it goes until 11:59 at night. You will get no sleep. And that is what binding acceptance is, and you missed the boat. So make sure that it is 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. If it's crazy, whatever you want to do, 8 o'clock, make sure to put a time on there.
Yes,
Otherwise, it goes until 11:59 p.m.
yes.
You'll do it once and you'll never forget it again.
Yeah. So today's topic is time management.
Yay. So what do we have for time management, Janine?
Well, it starts out with your calendar, and if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So every Sunday night or afternoon, I literally sit down and I do my calendar for the week. I used to do it the entire day, but what I am now concentrating on for me personally, that if it doesn't happen in the morning, it's not gonna happen. So I concentrate up until 1 o'clock. And I kind of go through my day of how I'm going to be lead generating and touching my client. And I try to do my assignments in the afternoon. So it just,
I mean, your microphone's not doing real good.
mine isn't?
I think it's Sarah's iPhone that's kind of cutting
Okay.
it.
Oh. Somebody's phone is on. Can't tell.
There we go.
Okay. Is that better?
There we go.
Okay. So I start with my Sunday calendar and I really concentrate just on what I'm doing in the morning. I pretty much know that I'm going to be doing follow-up and appointments in the afternoon. So literally I start out just with the calendar. It's a blank calendar and I literally write down how I'm going to start my day. And I get up at 6:30. I have Pilates twice a week, so I put that in there right away. I read the paper. I have me time, but I'm usually in the office 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then I start attacking my day. So here's
Here's a
Connie.
sample. Ah,
Oh, is this yours?
this is one that I use for productivity coaching, and I actually have it blank that it can be fillable. But here's a great example of things that only you can do, and dollar producing activities. And that's what we want you guys to focus on, because there's so many fun things to do in real estate, but you really want to focus on dollar producing activities, which is Monday and Tuesday, you're working on your lead gen. Put in here researching properties, but keep in mind that when you're doing your time blocking, as Janine said, she goes to Pilates, put your things in first. Whether it's kids to school, whether it's, all these, family dinners, put your family dinners right in the schedule. Make sure that you do things for yourself. I was talking with an agent yesterday of 1 year, and we were supposed to meet with a lender for lunch. And she canceled last minute. She says, well, I have somebody who wants to, blah, 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 and I never get to do any of the fun stuff in real estate. And I said, well, this is now your problem.
Yeah.
Because you really need to time block out, and it is important to meet with lenders. Oh yeah, and free lunch is always a good thing. And so she missed out on it because she let one of her, buyers push her around and just didn't have her schedule set right. So make sure that you guys have a schedule, that you stick to it.
I also suggest that share it with your family. So everyone knows your schedule. So write out your schedule, share it with your family so they know what you're up to and they respect it. I think that is extremely helpful. I don't listen to any voicemails or return any calls. I try not to in the morning because I don't even know where my phone is now, which is perfect. I don't want to know where it's somewhere, I'm sure. But if I was constantly looking at my phone and you can read your voicemail now, that's a distraction. I just put it away. I do not look at it. I am lead generating. I can do everything else starting at 12 o'clock because if I don't do this habit forming items in the morning and I do it at the same time almost every day, then it's not going to become a habit and I'll get sidetracked.
And it's easy to get sidetracked and off your schedule. And especially with COVID, you know, okay, I'm talking about myself, probably not you guys, got into some bad habits. Number one, not working out. I really got to get back into it. But, you know, there was nothing open, so why should I not lay in bed and have coffee and play on Facebook and solitaire and, you know, all that other good stuff. So it's time to, you know, get back on to a workout schedule.
So I pretend that if I don't do my daily activities, that I'm going to be fired from my job. I'm always assuming that someone is going to be looking into what I'm doing. And so I just set myself up to be fired. I set myself up that someone's going to look at my activities and say, you know what, you're fired. So I'm tough on myself. So I just have that thought pattern of, if I don't do what is on my schedule, then I'm going to be fired from my job. That kind of kicks me in the butt a little bit. Also to make sure it's a realistic schedule. So
how many people have a set schedule, a written time blocked schedule? Can we do a poll? Can we do a?
I do, Jackie.
I do. I write it on my calendar every Sunday.
Okay, awesome. So, go ahead.
Oh, I said I try. I'm not the best at following it, but I try.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do, but I'm finding that I'm putting too many things on a day and then it goes to the next day. So I really have to make it more realistic, I think.
yeah.
That's kind of what I do. I put a lot, I make a list for that day, and sometimes I add too many things and then I'm doing it the next day.
Yeah, I usually have a start and stop, realistic start and stop for my lead generation. So if it's an hour, then I'm going to reward myself. Like, oh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get a big glass of water and I'm going to call a friend for 10 minutes. So I try to have little rewards that I really have to sit and concentrate and lead generate. So I have an assistant and she's doing everything for me as far as putting it into command, and literally I'm snapshotting notes and sending it over to her. But we came up with this idea, which is kind of cool. I named it Jordan because she's Jordan and it's red. And she gives me a list of things that I need to follow up with as far as lead generation every single day. So then I just started it yesterday, so I'll let you know how it goes. So I took her list, I put the day and time on it, and these are the two things that I did. I have to get these people, you know, touched today. And then I will report back to her, and then she's going to give me another list today. So I thought that was really good. It's kind of an accountability for me, but this is all touching my database and she's keeping track of it. So am I. And it's red, so I can't lose it. I thought that was a pretty good idea.
So does, who all has a list of their contacts and their potentials? And how do you keep track of it? Let's open this up as a forum.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about who wants to buy a house, do you guys have a list somewhere, somehow?
I have a whiteboard that I have buyers that are under contract, buyers that are active, and buyers that are in a holding pattern that they're just looking, and created, you know, just a form that tells who the person is, you know, what they have, location, price, and timing. So I'm always looking at this. So I always, you know, when I look at the hot sheets in the morning, I can see what's come up, and I can just send them a note saying, look at this house. What do you think of this house? And just keep communication going.
Okay, great,
That's
great.
awesome.
Anybody else?
So
Okay,
for their command, you guys, if you start putting your database into command, you set up opportunities, and it's gonna move you along to keep track of everything.
Yep. To keep track of everything. Another nice thing, how many people are comfortable with Excel spreadsheets?
That's what I use.
Yep. I put everything on an Excel spreadsheet, and I put the date down, because next thing you know, it's 6 months later. Are these people still looking for a house? And then make sure that you're touching them along the way. And then you can put in your different categories, their name. I do a B or a L in a column, either a buyer or a listing. And then I put their name and the address, and then what they're looking for or what it is, and any notes that I have. And I just keep that going. And I actually have a couple of people on there and I update it often, but I have a couple of people on there from 2 years ago that are still thinking about it. And it's usually like a lake home or something. And they're not ready to go yet, but I still have them on my list because it's in the back of their mind that they want a lake home someday, but they're just not ready yet. And that way you don't lose track of them. Another thing that I do is I have my book. Everybody's seen the red book, right? If you don't have a red book yet, the red book is actually your capper book. So when you see everybody who has the red book, they have capped at one point in time. Might not be this year. I mean, they last forever. My gosh, they're big books. But I go through and I write all my notes in here on, I have to pick up mascara today. I have to contact my buyers to do the amendment. I have to follow up on a new listing coming up in Wauwatosa. And every once in a while, you'll forget something. It's normal. Don't worry about it. But when you think you don't have anything going on, go back in that book and you'll find things in people that you never got to. Even if it's a thank you card to an agent that you did business with. This way it's written down and you can follow through with it all. But like Janine has her red book, everybody has a book or something that you can keep track of. And it just really it keeps you on track with all of your business dollar producing activities.
I'm going to show you an example of my whiteboard. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep. So I have left, I have listings. Right, I have buyers. And then I have my goals on the top, and I keep track of where I'm at every single day. I look at my numbers every single day. And I'm looking at my whiteboard every single day. And I have it in command, but I like to turn around and look at, all right, what happened to those people? Wait, should I be talking to them? So I'm constantly moving the business forward. I want them checked off on the whiteboard. So everything I have, I put on there as well.
Yep.
Just a constant reminder.
Same thing here. Whiteboards work really nice. It's easy to transfer people and move people around. So listings, buyers, who's looking for what, closing dates, everything, just so you can refer to it all the time and keep your numbers right, and keep everybody who you're working with. It's really easy to lose people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because
good when
we
you
get
set
so-
people up in MLS in a search, and
Yeah.
then you get copies of that search every day. At least you can make it so that you actually get a copy of the search every day.
Yeah.
I look at those, and you know, a lot of times a house most of them aren't right for that person, because because it's a broad strokes. But if there's a cool kitchen, I'll forward that one and say, that kitchen's really cool. Is this what you're looking for? Just to keep the communication going, and so that they're looking at this as well. And it's a great way to stay present with them, even though you know that the houses aren't right now.
Yep. That's a great idea. I keep a list of all my buyers, on a piece of paper, and I'm literally every single day, I'm reaching out to them with, even though they're getting it and I can see when they're logging in, I'll say, did you see this delayed listing? Is that something that you're interested in? Every single day. That's part of my lead generation. It's one thing to get a name and an address, email address and everything, but you have to keep on top of them, because unless you have buyer agency signed, they're not married to you. Mm-hmm. So be on it. You want them to call you, not somebody else. Right, Anne? E? Annie,
Absolutely.
So how long have you had your license now?
Just a year.
Just a year. How do you start your day? How do you time block personally for this business?
I'm an Excel geek, and so I created an Excel, I have a system where it's a calendar on one side and then my weekly planning on the other. So I do my to-do list for the week, and then if there's something specific on every day, I do that, but I make sure that I'm covering all my bases, my actives, I'm making sure that all my deadlines are being met. And then I'm trying to touch every buyer every week in some way.
So when Annie first started a year ago, I can tell you for sure that girl was in the office every single solitary day, the same spot every day. I would drive down Silver Spring, there's Annie. You are so committed to your schedule and to your business. And how long did it take for you to get your calendar and your schedule that you felt really comfortable with it?
At least 6 months.
Okay.
Of working it and figuring out how to do it, how to do it that worked for me.
Right.
I've had a lot of jobs, and I know command is great, and command keeps my opportunities and everything, but I can't be organized electronically on a day-to-day basis. I can't do to-do lists on command. It's just not going to work for me.
Yep.
I'm a paper girl. Yep. And what I write it, and if I don't get it done, then I write it the next week. And you know what? After you write it 5 or 6 times, you get it done, just so you don't have to write the damn thing again on your calendar.
Right.
Just figuring out it's figuring out how to stay true to me, we're all in all these classes, not do what Janine does, not do what Connie does.
Yep.
Listen to what they do and figure out what makes sense to me. And, it's like, so I have 500 people in command from my sphere. And then I also am farming 2 neighborhoods. And so my postcards hit yesterday, and I don't do, real estate cards that are, let me price your home, let me give you a market. I work as a chef at times, and so I do my favorite recipes. And then I put real estate news on the back. And yesterday, my latest card is salmon with grilled peaches and basil. And 4 people yesterday sent me pictures of it, that they made it for dinner.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's just something that, is different, but it's everybody who I'm friends with knows that I cook. And so it's a way that real estate then has the conversation. So it's figuring out how to make it true to me.
That is so important. It's, when you are new, you are just looking for answers, and you're going to get so many different ideas and answers from everybody. And I think you hit it spot on, Annie, that it has to work for you. And however you want to keep yourself organized, which is really actually the fun part, because then you own it.
Right. Right. And COVID, you know, made, I was at the office every day.
Yeah.
I desperately miss people. I miss the people there, but it made me organize my office in a way that I can be here every day and be productive. And, you know, I'll go back to the office on Tuesdays probably now, but, you know, once we open up again for good, you know, and have meetings, but I'm grooving here.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think if anything, at least on this side of town, I don't see anything opening up in the near future.
Mhm.
But what I have noticed personally is, because of this, I am more intentional on my database. So whether you're new or not, you can really just take this time and reach out to everybody that you know. And, you know, I'm new to Keller Williams, and could I practice doing a home evaluation and give you a current market price?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And I just, especially if they're your friends, you guys, can I submit, and you don't even have to do it in person necessarily, but you can just show them what's current on the market and what has sold. It's just a good practice for you to do. And God only knows, when you do that, they may say to a neighbor, oh my gosh, I'm thinking that our house is going to be worth so-and-so because my friend who's you don't know how that conversation's just going to spill over, and what a great practice for you. So that's something that you can do as a new agent. Laura had asked, for a very new agent, what is the best way to educate yourself on what's out there? In-person touring, brokers open, twilight open house, or MLS viewing? Is this important prior to having buyers? Connie?
Yes.
People?
So what you want to do is physically get out there if you can. Now, and I always feel like we're beating a dead horse because it's so different between Milwaukee County and Waukesha County.
Yeah.
They're predicting Milwaukee County to shut down again, unfortunately. With the numbers spiking and what have you. But what you can do, Laura, is definitely go to Brokers Opens on Tuesdays. If you do not have any clients, that should be your number one priority. Go to those Brokers Opens. A nice thing to do with the Brokers Opens too, and I know when I first started I did it, is to meet the other agents. Because if you meet the other agents, when you have that buyer and you call Janine and say, hey Janine, you have a great listing. I have a buyer who would like to submit an offer. I met you at the open house. I really look forward to doing business with you.
Yeah.
And you're opening up that communication and that relationship with the other agent right away. So A, not only are you previewing the houses and seeing what's out there, B, you're meeting other agents. C, it'll make your transaction run so much more smoothly by having that open conversation. Also, when you go in MLS under showing information, it will tell you if it's a vacant property, and you can usually tell by the pictures. If it's a vacant property, you can go in showing time and do a showing under preview property.
I do think that that's super, super important. And you have to remember that the more contacts that you make as a new agent, the more likely you're going to get business.
Yes.
So it's super important to know all the back end details, but what's more important is to get your mouth out there, whether that's social media, letters, calling people on the phone. The most important thing for you to do is to get business. We can sit here and train to death.
Mm-hmm.
Training is extremely important, but don't get stuck in that rut of I have to do everything perfectly in order to move on to this. because it's never going to happen.
So a great way to start
Mhm.
is to call a friend of yours, like Janine was saying, call a friend of yours who owns a home, do a market in their area for them, and just call and say, you know, because of my new business, my new career, I'm doing markets. I just want to let you know that this is what your house is worth. And, you know, do you know of anybody who wants to move to your neighborhood? You know, that really opens up that conversation
Yeah.
that you've been practicing. And with that also, you'll see every house in the neighborhood that's sold and get yourself familiar with it. Look at all the pictures. Who has a new kitchen? Because that new kitchen is going to raise that value of that house. Look at the square foot. In some neighborhoods, you can have houses that are 700 square foot down the street from a 4,500 square foot house. You know, and why are the values different? Well, it'll help you, you know, find your facts.
Yeah. And honestly, to just get out there and do it, you know, shadow open houses. But then, Annie, don't you think that just going out there and doing it is huge and you're going to trip and fall all over yourself?
Yeah, but you know what? Do the open houses if you can get an open house, which is not easy right now. It is not easy to get an open house. But if you do an open house, I do it differently than Janine. And I think it's because we're at different price points where I hand them, I hand everyone who comes in the door, and right now, quite frankly, I blame it on COVID. I hand them a clipboard, a small clipboard, and have them fill out their name and email and their phone number. And I've always collected those. And I follow up. I have in a file every open house I've done and every person that has come through. And anyone who is not working for a broker, with a broker, once a month they get an email from me with homes that are available near that open house. And most of the time, they don't look at them. But I'm currently working with 2 buyers from the fall.
Wow.
That are now ready. But it's keeping in front of them. It's you, and it's knowing that you feel like it's not working, but you keep at it because it is working.
Yeah.
It's that doing it at their time, not your time.
Well, Annie, I think it's more of a trickle than in your face also.
Right. And I like what you said, that it's their time, not your time, because I think that's one of the most frustrating things that we have to remember is just because they're looking at an open house today doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be looking to buy today. It could be that they're thinking about it and it's going to be 6 months to a year. So you get really frustrated because we want that business now. But if you keep in touch with those people, 6 months to a year, you're going to have that. Well, you weren't doing real estate maybe 6 months or a year ago. So you're now just building up what's going to happen 6 months to a year from now. Right?
Right. And make sure you do, it's a pain in the butt to have Command as a database and eEdge as a database, but eEdge does wonderful newsletters.
Yes.
And so I have them in both. I enter in both yet. And last night we had a couple over on our patio for dinner. And he was like, Annie, your email was just really wonderful. I started off with a personal paragraph, but then I use eEdge's canned newsletter. And he's like, where do you find the time to write? I mean, it was so well written. And I was like, yeah, it's, I will admit, it's not, it's provided for me except for the first paragraph. And he was like, that was an excellent newsletter. And so people read those newsletters.
And I like how you interject your personal first and then it's kind of business.
Yeah, I always put my picture there. Yeah. My personal, it was about this month's newsletter was about home offices. And so I put, Steve and I both have our home offices, and I put something personal. Here's more information about home offices.
Love it.
So
love it. I like it.
So Janine, going back to that calendar, what are the money producing activities that you do?
Very good, very good.
So
So
in the morning when you have it blocked off, what is the first thing that you think of and what does that look like?
the first thing that I do for money making activities is I literally am diving into my database because I've entered everyone that I have met and their mother. So I have a stack of people that I know that are looking to buy a house, people that I know are looking to sell their house, and I'm touching them first because they're my A's. I know they're in a holding pattern. So I'm going to touch them because they're ready to launch. And then I'm keeping in front of my B's, and my B's are anywhere from 6 to 9 months. They're not ready yet, but they're thinking maybe fall or January. So I'm touching them. And how do I do that? I text them. I stalk them on Facebook. I watch what their activities are. I'm just getting into their lives. I send baby gifts. We're doing something that we're going to do a little back to school. Well, hopefully if they go back to school, to my past clients and my potential clients, just a little back to school thing for the kids and maybe a bottle of wine or something for the parents. But I'm constantly thinking, how can I touch people? So that's what I do. I mean, I literally have a list of who I am to touch. So if I can't think anymore of who I need to go to, I literally start going through. What I have done is I go into who I have, my contacts in MLS that I have set up. And I print that out too, because then it's a reminder of who in the heck is this person? And I wonder what's happened to them. And I just did that like 2 months ago and reconnected with people that I've kind of lost contact with. So I'm always thinking, who do I need to reach out to? And when I call clients or past clients, I do that a lot because now they're part of my family. I never ask them for business. I really am just seeing how they're doing. And it always turns into real estate. It always does. And lo and behold, I will get a phone call or a text or an email. Now, mind you, this did not happen right away. Took a while. Hey, Janine, our friends are moving here from blah, 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 and I recommended them to you. So then I'll say, awesome, thank you so much for doing that. And I'll write them a note and thank them. But I don't leave it at that. I want to know their information because a lot of people are going to be, saying, oh, you should call so-and-so. So I'll say, you know what? Thank you for that. If I don't hear from them in a week, do you mind if I reach back out to you and get their information? So then I'm contacting them. Don't be afraid to ask that. I'll give them a week though to get to me, and if they don't, I'll call them. So I'm constantly looking to expand my bandwidth because I know that once my A and B's are under contract, what do I have left? I have to continually bring in business. That's my job. That's your job. So I think by keeping on a schedule and lead generating and touching your database, and it forms a habit, you're not then going to get caught up in the transactions that you currently have, because once those are closed, what do you have in your hand? Yeah. And that happens to everyone, especially in the beginning. Annie, did that happen to you? I'm picking on you today.
That is perfectly fine. Absolutely it did. Absolutely. Yeah. I had a few people right away, and then it was like, where am I going to go? Mm-hmm. And so I was working with my sphere, but it was like okay, let's go to open house. Let's deal with open house people. And right now I I just closed a house that was from open house, and now I'm going to be selling their house. I do the listing contract next week. And then the other one was a sphere touch. And so they're both working, but you got to keep being present with all of them. I mean, the buyers that I'm even remotely working with, yesterday I sent an email to all of them saying that I'm going on vacation. I'm going on vacation from the 15th through the 21st. My family has an annual camping and fishing trip. And I sent them a picture of me. I caught, 3 years ago, I caught a 32-inch northern pike. And so I sent a picture of me with the fish, and I got so much response from that because said 2 other agents are helping me. So if a house comes up that you want to see, these 2 folks will help you. And I had great conversations yesterday, and most of them laughing that they didn't imagine me with fishing just because they always see me dressed up as a real estate person.
Wow.
And so it was really fun.
That's super cool. I love that idea. See, I'm learning something today from Annie.
Mhm.
So
Connie, how do you stay on schedule?
I go by my book here. When I write things down, I start thinking usually early in the morning, which is never a good thing. And I have to write everything down. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen. So I write down my follow-ups. I watch my whiteboard because I have one listing I have been in contact with for 1.5 years now, and they're just still not ready. So that is one that I just make a touch every month. Whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready. I had another listing that was supposed to go live before COVID. Now they decided not to, so I follow up with them. I make my lists and I follow through with my lists. Annie, I agree with you 100%. I still have e-edge that I send out newsletters once a month because I used to do hair. I came in with a good 400 people in my database from the salon, and those people are all in that e-edge, and I've gotten quite a bit of business off of that. So my newsletter went out yesterday, and I had 3 people follow through. And so today, because I had 3 people follow through, I will make contacts with them and say, I haven't seen you for a while. I hope everything is good. I see that you like the newsletter, and just really, it's a good excuse to call them because that newsletter went out once a month.
And can I say one thing that really changed how my business and has made it go off much faster was I'm a part of a ragtag group of girls that there are 6 of us in accountability. We call ourselves an accountability group, and we meet once a week, and that's wonderful. But I have a fellow agent, Melissa Beyer, is my partner. We talk every day, and we read each other's stuff. We bounce things off of each other, and find a partner that you jive with, that has similar values, and really we script practice together. We just on a daily basis, it's somebody that you don't feel bad saying, hey, read this. What do you think of this? Bounce things off of. And that has changed so much for both of us because you don't feel like you're on an island. You feel like, okay, somebody else has read this, we're good.
Yeah.
And so that is, I couldn't more strongly recommend finding someone who you could jive with and bounce with and move forward with.
Yeah. Otherwise it's very, very lonely.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And especially if you're on a team, it's going to be more of a natural thing. And if you're a solo agent, you have to create your own tribe, which
right.
is awesome. So here's just an example of, these are letters. I have a stack of them over there that are being sent out. Here's my letter that I'm sending out, and I'll read it to you. Nothing magical. Greetings. I am working with a couple specifically interested in your location in Fox Point. If you would consider selling your home, I would welcome the opportunity to bring my buyer. I am a member of the J. Schmidt Group of Keller Williams, Milwaukee North Shore. My expertise is the North Shore market. If you are not quite ready, please retain this letter as well as my contact information. Thank you for your kind consideration. Regards, Janine Werner. And then I have on the bottom, if you have a brokerage relationship with another agency, this is not intended as a solicitation. Just in case it was mailed out and they listed it that day, I want to make sure that I keep myself together. And then I sign it, or my assistant does, and here's my contact information. You guys, I think I'm on my sixth listing appointment from this letter. 6.
Can you email me a copy of that?
Yeah, sure can.
Thank you.
It's so easy. And I went on 3 listing appointments just this past week and last week because of this. And one of them is not ready to go for another 6 months, but he and I are BFFs now.
Awesome.
So it works. And you get to meet some really interesting people, and it's really good practice for you to get out there and see where people are at. So.
And I'm asking Janine for her letter because I have one, but mine is much more wordy than that.
Yeah.
I like yours because it's more specific and to the point. Mine is, 3 paragraphs of I love the world. And
now, the first question too, not all of them, they'll say, is this legitimate? And I actually, honestly, I have buyers that are looking in Fox Point. Mm-hmm. And so I feel really good about it. If you don't, then find somebody that does, and you are asking for them. So if you are listening to the buyer needs at the Tuesday morning meeting, make sure you stick around for that, because then you can think to yourself, that is an area that I'd like to tap into. I'm actually going to write letters for that agent. You don't have to tell the sellers that, but yes, you have buyers, because you can honestly say, to yourself, I know this, and this agent. Make sure you write the agent's name down, and I'm looking for them. Because then you can list their house and then call that agent and say, guess what? I'm a dream worker.
She's so funny. Unbelievable. Yeah. I have gotten listings off of letters that I've written also I try and concentrate on my lake, but conversations always come up. I was at the yacht club last night and I had 3 different people asking me, what's going on with the lake. And there's only 2 houses for sale on Okauchee. And there's 1,100 houses on Okauchee Lake.
Whoa.
Yes. So I had a friend ask last night, their kids are graduating college. It's time to create a new lifestyle. And this was our conversation last night, which was actually pretty fun. They would like to create a new lifestyle for themselves without children. And they like the lake life. They were here last weekend for the 4th of July. They would love to move in. Well, there's an island for $1.1 million with no electricity. And then there's a little POS that is about $150,000 overpriced, and it's full of mold. So those are your 2 options.
What's POS?
Little piece of shit. And I just look in the corner and we're being recorded because that's always amazing. Thanks, Janine. That was amazing. So, look at your different areas and see what's needed and where people want to buy. And this friend of mine, she was like, you're kidding. And then her husband showed up because we were there early to play cards. And her husband showed up and she says, Tom, you're never going to believe this. Do you know that there's 1,100 houses on the lake? And he says, yeah. So she says, no, really, there are 1,100 houses on the lake and only 2 for sale. Her mind was blown because of these numbers. So do you know what she's going to do this morning when she talks to her girlfriend? There's 1,100 houses on the lake and only 2 for sale. You have to call Connie. She's at the yacht club. She knows what's going on. She's looking for houses. So get out there and have your facts in your hip pocket. And that's one of Maureen's big things. Know your market, know your numbers. And Laura, as you were asking before, you know, what is the best way to see things and find out things is really to do your research. Know what's out there. So when somebody says that house on the corner of Main Street and Juniper Drive, have you seen it? You can say yes, it has a beautiful new kitchen. Or no, it is priced right to redo the kitchen. Because those are two totally different scenarios with your buyers. You know, one may want it totally done and not do anything, and they'll pay for it. But then you'll have somebody who, you know, likes to put in a little elbow grease and they like to work on a house. They want that house that they can make their own kitchen. And you need to know the difference between the two properties.
Yeah, especially if you're out showing a particular 2 or 3 homes to a buyer, you know, you better know the stats, you know, you better know what's sold around them because they're going to ask. And especially millennials, I have found they're really looking at the per square foot. Well, that one sold per square, you know, that one sold for $250 a square foot and that one da-da-da. So I always have that information with me. I pull all the solds, the ones that are more recent. That's what they're looking at. And I know exactly what that house had versus the house that we're looking at. So then I'm educated and say, you know what, you guys, this is a great house. We need to put this in writing today.
Yep.
Yeah. Be organized. It's so much fun. There's so many aspects of this job. But our job is to get you into production and as fast as possible. And how is that going to happen? By following your schedule and being mindful of it and carving out times of how you're going to be reaching out to people. And if it isn't doing open houses because those are scarce, then what are some other ways that you can touch people? And it's really going to be your database that you have now. Period. The end. That's it. You can walk down the street and you can introduce yourself to your local businesses if you want. And I've done that. I've done Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, become friends with everyone. So everyone knows who I am and what I do. I tell everybody, it always ends up in a real estate conversation. Your friends, your family, you know, and this is a tougher time to get started. I do believe because for at least on this side of town, open houses are tougher to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so little inventory that those listing agents aren't willing to give up their open houses. Haven't you all found that out? Yeah. Or sellers may not want an open house. That's happened as well.
Yeah. And you guys know how to find listings from your office? We went over it a couple of weeks ago. You can go in MLS and do an office search, and it will pull up every listing from your office and see where you want to work and the price point you want to work, and be realistic. But getting your feet wet and finding that house to hold and open, and then call the agent. And I've done it many times. Sometimes you get heavy on buyers, sometimes you get heavy on listings. And I was, in February, I was slow. Oh my gosh, slower than molasses. So I contacted Bruce and I said, hey, you have this listing in Merton. Can I hold it open for you? And I ended up getting a great buyer from it and put an offer in on his property that I held open. So it does work. And then when you do those open houses, if you're doing it by yourself, those are your buyers.
Yeah.
You have brought those buyers in, those are yours to work, and you just really have to start working them.
And if you absolutely have nothing to do, I would put on Facebook, I am more than happy to show your buyers properties if you get in a jam. And I have an agent that reached out to me who is actually looking for a couple showing agents. And I told her that I would bring it up. If you guys are interested in being someone showing agent, she would like to stick to at least 1 or 2 consistent agents, let me know, or put it on the chat board, and I will turn it over. But she's a North Shore agent. She's super busy and she doesn't have the bandwidth. And I'm telling you, that is a great way to throw yourself out there. And she would definitely help you get all the information, data sheets, get you teed up. But you could learn a lot from this person. So if I were new and I didn't have any business, I would be lining up with someone that does and being their helper.
Mhm.
That's what I did. I mean, I literally follow people.
Is that something that you do for free? Is that something that you do that you're just volunteering your time?
I think she would be willing. She will pay. Yep. But I don't know what that looks like exactly. I don't know if she's doing, she wants consistency. So 2 people, when you're working with buyers and they have somebody new all the time opening up doors, it's not a great feeling for a buyer. But if an agent has 2 consistent people that was really helping them, it's going to lend well to you and that agent. So let me know if you guys are interested. It's North Shore. And
Join a club or something. I'm a member of Menominee Falls Optimist Club, and they meet at 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays. But I've met a ton of people, and I always wear my name tag. I always wear my Keller Williams name tag and dress for. I don't ever go in sweats. I mean, I go dressed for the day, so that and then I don't have to broadcast that I'm a real estate agent. They just see my name tag every time, and I won't wear their, because they make name tags for us, but I won't wear their name tags. I wear my Keller Williams one. And
Good.
Then you have conversations.
Yep. You have to play the part, and you have to fake it to make it.
Mhm.
Even on the worst days where you're not feeling so confident, you have to get up, dress up, show up, and be confident. Period. The end. Those who stick to a schedule and are consistent in their days are the ones that are going to make it in this business. Like I say, I always act as if I could be fired at the end of every day. And so I'm really hard on myself. I'm my worst enemy. But I make sure that I get my job done. And my first job is to lead generate, touch my database, follow up on people. And it's really fun if you look at it that way. It's so much fun. And you're getting paid for it big time. They take a while.
Yeah.
They take a while, but it will happen.
Yeah, and keep in mind that you are working 30, 60, and 90 days out. So your lead gen today will get you a paycheck in 60 or 90 days, sometimes a year. So you need to fill that back tunnel, because not everybody's going to buy today. I mean, every once in a while, it's really cool when somebody calls you and says, hey, I really need to find a house. And you show them the next day and you write it and you close in 30 days. It's so cool. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
It truly doesn't. But I mean, you'll take them to see houses. It might take a week to find. It might take a day. It might take 3 months or 6 months, depending on what they're looking for.
And you just have to be slow and steady, because I think too, either transactions happen right away for you and then it doesn't. And then when it doesn't for a period of time, it gets really frustrated for those agents and they disappear. So again, try not to get too wrapped up in that transaction and just keep focused on lead generation. Something will come up. It may not come up as fast as it did in the beginning, but it's not your time schedule. Honestly, it's how many people that you can contact and touch base with and move them forward. I look at it as a pebble, and I just have to keep pushing people along. And sometimes it's fast and sometimes it's slow, but it's like moving a pebble down the hill. They're all going to get there, but it may be at different time periods. But as long as I'm behind that pebble pushing it, then I'm doing my job.
Mhm.
I'm a pebble pusher. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. You just have to keep trudging through that snowbank.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that it's 100 degrees outside. So what we really, really need everybody to do this week, like today, is make yourself a schedule. Please make yourself a schedule. You can put it in an Excel spreadsheet, but print it off so it's a physical piece. I know everybody likes their phone and everybody, but you are more likely to follow a physical schedule versus something that's in your mind. We all know what we have to do. We tell you all the time. So take and time block that schedule and make it something that is achievable. And every once in a while, you're going to get off of it. Don't beat yourself up, but take and try and really follow that schedule, but get a physical written schedule down with your time blocks.
Another thing that you guys can do if you're not, in production right now is Facebook is a really great thing to do. Put it on the North Shore Facebook or your Lake Country Facebook. Can I shadow you for anything? Home inspection, buyer agency meeting, riding in the car with you to show buyers. Get your butt out there and see what other agents are doing. Do not sit at home all day or sit in the office. Move. Use the agents that are in this office. Go and shadow home inspections. You're not going to know what they're like until you actually are there yourself. Ask an agent for a home inspection report if you haven't seen one before. Look through it. Practice writing offers. Practice, and have somebody look at those offers to purchase. There's so much to do. That's in your afternoon business after you've lead generated. But just keep yourself motivated and going by movement. When I started, I shadowed home inspections and I learned so much. I didn't know anything about a furnace, a boiler. I didn't know what was the difference. It was crazy. So just knowledge is power because it's going to give you confidence when you're working with a buyer or a seller and home inspection comes up, you're going to have that much more knowledge. So just keep asking people, right? Connie, do you have a home inspection coming up out there?
No, I just had one. I'm actually will be negotiating an amendment today for it.
Got it. Good luck.
Another one coming up.
Yeah. So just shadow as many people as you possibly can. What questions do you guys have? I think, honestly, I'd like to see next week more people with their cameras on because there's a lot of people that we can't see. And I think it's important if we're Zooming that we actually get to see you guys because the less we see, the less interaction we have.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep. And I know that Mandy was going to literally take people off Zoom if they're not showing up. So I mean, not to be nasty, but I really would like to see you. It's hard for us to put faces and names together, and I think we'll get a lot more interaction if you're there, if we can see you. You see us, we want to see you. It's not fair. Darn it.
I actually have a question. And it's off a little bit, but
Oh, good.
for my listing next week, the buyers at times get water in their basement. And so they wanted to, they asked me what would be better, to wait until, to just put it in the RECR that they get water in their basement on big rains, or should they get Gatish or someone to come in and look at it before we even list it to figure out what the problems are, and then, because they'll fix it, but instead of waiting for the inspection when it sells and then paying for it, or being proactive about it and paying for it beforehand.
What do you think? What's your gut telling you?
My gut's telling me if they're willing to do that, then I should do that. They should do that, but I had somebody else tell me that never ever wait until the inspection happens, and therefore you're only fixing the things that that seller wants fixed.
If it were my house and if it were my listing, I'd say, you know, knowledge is power. So I don't want you to be in a vulnerable position ever. And home inspection is very vulnerable. It's going to show up. You've disclosed it on your condition report. And if that buyer brings out somebody and they say it's this, and yet the person that you really want to go with says it's that, why would you have that discrepancy? So I would definitely have someone come out and take a look at it, fix the problem, and disclose it. Had water in our basement. This is what we did. Period. The end.
Perfect. Thank you.
It definitely could be a deal breaker, because if they know about it and haven't fixed it, what else do they know about that they're not going to fix? And that's how buyers think. You know, if there are updates that need to be done and odd things that they know is wrong and they haven't taken the time or the energy to fix that problem, what else is wrong with this house? And depending on the inspector, and we've had some terrible inspectors, they will find things wrong with the house that, my gosh, at the end of the inspection, you think the whole darn thing's going to fall down.
Right.
You know, so especially with basements, people are funny about basements. I don't mind because I know they can be fixed, but especially with basements, people get funny. So I would have that fixed and taken care of.
Yeah.
So if they do fix that problem, you do have to say that it was a problem and you fixed it?
Disclose, disclose, disclose.
Okay.
And never, ever, ever tell a home seller what to put in that condition report. I always say disclose, disclose, disclose. I cannot help you. That's one piece of paper I cannot advise you on. It's the most litigious piece of paper. The condition report or the record stays with you for 7 years. So anything and everything you disclose, and more is more. So disclose everything that you know.
Yeah.
And if they call and say, so we had a leak in our roof, 4 years ago, but we haven't had any problems since. What do you think I should do? What do you think you should do?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I should probably, yep. That's what you should do. Disclose it. By not disclosing something, it could bite you in the butt. So disclose it. And honestly, when you start selling real estate and you're pulling up a condition report and these people have lived there for 25 years and they have disclosed nothing, it's always like, that's interesting. They've lived there for 25 years and not one thing was disclosed. Then you kind of doubt the whole thing. So I'm always looking for something because then I feel it's legitimate, right? So don't be afraid to disclose things.
I guess hi, I'm actually here.
Jackie!
Sorry, I have my kids right now, so they're in the family room, so that is still no excuse. But anyways, I kind of felt like, that one deal that I had, which Janine, you knew how bad that condition report was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to I know we're not supposed to guide or do anything, but then we received it and it was like, there's a squirrel that lives behind here. And first of all, guys, it was a couple that was divorced and nesting, and the guy filled it out and it seemed super suspicious that he was just trying to sabotage the whole thing. So I didn't really know how to go about, obviously, because I'm brand new, I didn't know how to go about any of that because I know not to guide them. But then I know for a fact our deal, Janine, fell through because of that condition report.
Probably not, because I fired those buyers. But
You did?
yeah, I'll tell you that's a long story. But
Oh my God, I can't wait.
I think it's really important to have that condition report filled out. In this case, Jackie, it was not possible, but have that condition report filled out and on MLS prior for an offer to be written.
Mm-hmm.
Then after they're so excited and they write the offer and the condition report to be given within 24 hours of acceptance, and they're like, shoot. So
It was a unique situation.
it was a unique situation, but I have listed real estate attorneys' homes, and their condition report is absolutely like pages
Sure.
with pages. And, you know, it's like we are disclosing a drippy faucet. I don't care. More is more. And let the buyer feel comfortable with that or not. But I think it's important to get that condition report into MLS documents before it hits that market, because then everyone and their mother can read it and feel like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But there's always interesting situations. I have some sellers right now that said, I'm going to take at least 4 days to fill this out. Like, okay, that's awesome. I don't want you to rush through it, because it's super important that you disclose everything and you read it carefully. You know, it's kind of telling your story about what you know. So, okie dokie. Connie, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to cover buyer agency, working with buyers, and your buyer consultation. Then what we are going to do is a couple of key points in writing, not writing the offer, but contacting that listing agent when you are writing an offer to present your offer better than anybody else.
So Connie and I will be role-playing a buyer agency consultation. And then from there, we'll go into, once we have a buyer that's going to be writing an offer, we're going to role-play the conversation that you're going to have with that listing agent. Okay? So I think you're going to feel confident with meeting someone. How do you get them in front of a buyer agency agreement? And then from there, writing that offer. We're not going to go into details about that, but I'm going to kind of show you, and I think Connie does the same thing, the top 10 things I'm going to need from you when I write an offer. So we're not doing it in the offer and you're in the office and you're breathing down my neck because I'm so shaky. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'll like the things that I want to get from them so they can go their way, I can go mine, write the offer, and then what that conversation looks like with that listing agent when I'm about to write an offer. So it's going to help you kind of get into motion quickly, and you're going to feel confident with that process. Does that make sense? Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Get your schedule and find some buyers.
Thank you.